top down, smoking on a fast cigar. Cool breeze in my head, bittersweet smoke flying through the air. It's the way I feel, smoking on a fast cigar. Look at sweet mama watching me.
All right, everybody, that was Jeff Pitchell's Fat Cigar you were listening to, and that means it's time for Not Just Blowing Smoke, coming at you live from Twin Smoke Shop Studio headquarters in Hooksett, New Hampshire. Be sure to subscribe to us, please, on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google, basically wherever you get your podcast from. I'm Pastor Padron, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Paul and Dave. Nick is on vacation. We have Bree from the 724 Lounge. And very special guest, favorite guest.
Yes.
Erik Wentworth.
Back again.
Executive VP of Cigars at Hammer Sickle. It is really good to have you back, Erik.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Why did you come back again?
I'm asking myself the same question right now.
Don't ask too hard. We're just glad that you're here. And as you can imagine, when Erik's on the show, we are smoking something Hammer Sickle. And tonight it is the Berlin Wall box-pressed Churchill.
Yes, sir.
And you want to tell us a little bit about this cigar? What's in it and all of that good stuff?
It's a Honduran Puro.
It's a Honduran Puro.
Honduran Criollo wrapper. Everything's aged at least 5 years. Very, I would say medium bodied. Very Cuban-esque, just earthy. Pretty much, I mean, it's a Honduran cigar.
It's a Honduran cigar.
For me, you typically get the same, type of notes out of Honduran. You get the earth, you get a little bit of creamy, a little bit of nutty.
Right. Little spice in there.
Yeah. When it's a Honduran Puro, they're all very similar to me. But I specifically like ours because the smaller ring gauge and the box press gives it a little more power. You get a little more flavor, I feel, out of a box press.
Would you say these right now are probably as full as it gets for Hammer Sickle?
It's this or the Hermitage.
Okay.
Hermitage. I would say the Hermitage is a little more full flavored. This is a little more full bodied.
Okay.
Are we going to do this again, Dave?
Don't do it again, Dave. Okay. And Bree, do you want to tell us what it is that we are pairing with this tonight?
Yeah. So we are fortunate with Hammer Sickle because not only are they a cigar line, but they are also a vodka line. So we have one of our 724 Lounge craft cocktails called the Winter Solstice. So it's a little bit of Hammer Sickle vodka, a little bit of a sparkling cranberry juice, a little bit of Domaine de Canton, which is like a ginger liqueur, and a splash of ginger beer. So it's Paul was saying earlier, so it's called the Winter Solstice due to some of the flavors that are more like herbal, as far as like you would find in maybe like a classic Yule winter cocktail, but it's just as refreshing and could be enjoyed in the summer as well. So it makes it kind of like a double-sided, two-faced drink.
Double-sided.
I'm going to rename it the Summer Solstice.
There you go.
Garnished with a square of ginger.
Only because I could absolutely crush these in the summer.
It's very refreshing.
Yes, it is
It's very refreshing.
you have to remind. I'm taking the place of Nick too, so I have to use some of his words. It's fantastic.
And you have to have 7 of them.
I'm going to crush these in the summer.
Crush these in the summer.
Until the ginger spice starts to get to you and you regret it.
That sneaks up on you.
That's how it gets you.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So what's our initial thoughts before we get to talking to Erik about some things and what's been happening at Hammer Sickle? Paul, what's your initial thoughts on your summer solstice?
It's transcendent. First of all, the drink is incredibly smooth, flavorful, nice little bit of sweetness. The ginger, it's the cranberry just right. It is absolutely just a perfect, smooth, sweet, just a tang, a little bit of spice there. But we've had this now for maybe 5-10 minutes, so that's really calmed down a lot. I could absolutely have a couple of these, no problem. With the cigar on its own, I love the cigar. Nice, earthy, sweet, a little bit of floral on the exhale, and also on the retrohale too. Nice light spice. I'd say medium plus. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
What do you think, Bree? Now, have you had the box press Berlin Wall before?
No, so box press is one of my favorite types of cigars. I love the construction of this. Like right off the bat, I was like, that's a beautiful cigar, and I'm enjoying the way that it holds. But so far, it's very smooth. It's not too crazy. I do get a little bit of the spice, and it's kind of funny because combined with the cocktail, the ginger in the drink, which is almost spicy on its own, and then the little bit of spice that you get from the cigar cancel each other out in the right way. So it makes for a really enjoyable pairing. It's not too over the top as you might have suspected. I would say it's pretty perfect. Yeah, awesome. The ginger goes really well with the cigar.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the pairing very much as well. I think the cigar has a little bit more body than the drink, but because of the ginger and the spices in there, it's holding up. And the sweetness in the drink and the sweetness in the cigar and the spice of the ginger, really complement each other. And very, very good. Now, Erik, I want to talk a little bit about box pressing.
Yep.
All right. So originally, the Berlin Wall came out as a regular, round cigar.
Yep.
And then a few years ago, for some reason, all of a sudden you said, hey, what if we press these things?
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of change a lineup. We were at a point where we're a small boutique company.
Right.
So we don't want to get too big facings wise. So instead of coming out with something new, we wanted to pump new energy into something old.
Okay.
And so we had all of our cigars at the time box pressed to see which one we like the best. And the Berlin Wall, it's the same exact blend that the Berlin Wall is. It just completely changes it by box pressing it. And it works.
Yeah, it's amazing how this changed that cigar. Now, that leads right to the question, what exactly is box pressing? How is it done?
I mean, kind of exactly like it sounds. It's just, you box press it. There's stuff called...
These things called cigar molds, and you just kind of press it until it's a square, and there you go.
So one of the theories as to why it originally started was to fit more in the box, to get more out of shipping. And the other school of thought, what other people think, I guess, is they made it so it wouldn't roll off the table.
Yeah, I heard. That's what I heard too.
Those are the two origin stories of the box press,
specifically for sailors.
But,
if they're on a ship, so it won't roll off. What?
I said and for Brie.
And for Brie.
I like things that are aesthetically pleasing and that balance well. So I like that I can just put the cigar down and it won't roll anywhere.
But yeah, I mean, I love a box press cigar. I just prefer it.
What about box press makes a cigar more enticing for you?
I think so. During the process of going from round to box press, I really learned that you do get a little bit more strength and flavor. It seems like I could be totally wrong, but that's my experience with it. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. So
let me just take all the fact checking out of here and say, to me, this is what happens.
And it just made me like it even more outside of the aesthetic purpose of it. That it changes the cigar so much.
Yeah.
And I think it has something to do with the fact they use less tobacco.
They do, yes.
To be able to box press it. So when they push it all together,
right?
It blends better. It could marry the binder, wrapper, and filler together better.
There's less air inside, and so it slows the burn rate.
Slows the burn,
and that changes when you change the combustion rate.
Yep.
You change how you experience the tobacco.
Yep. It's like when you go from a 60 to a Lancero.
Right.
Completely different cigars, completely different smoking styles, and it's the same thing round to box press.
So you did not tweak the blend at all?
Not at
for
all.
the box press versus the original?
Not at all.
Okay. Because I love this. I like the old Berlin Wall. I love this one.
See, I was really happy when we did it because Berlin Wall, the round one, was one of my least favorite in the lines. I just never found myself going to it. I liked it, but I just never found myself chain smoking those like I do all the other lines we have.
Right.
And when we did this is a regular. And I just love it. I'm so happy we went with it.
And now, there's a number of different, companies, of course, that do variations of, round versus box pressed and stuff like that. And in the case of Hammer and Sickle with this cigar, this did so well in sales that it basically consumed the round.
The round just stopped selling.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah,
just you do that one thing different, and all of a sudden something good becomes great to the point where it wasn't even worth carrying the original anymore.
Yeah, we pulled the original. We changed the packaging. The original came in the marble, which was awesome and eye-catching.
Yeah,
but we did these little zipper
and
travel humidor pouches, and people were drawn to these more so than the marble too. I mean, it just worked, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
So
yeah. As somebody who works in the retail, I'm very happy with the zip packaging too. Versus the 8-pound marble box.
Shipping those things was the worst.
My toes feel so much safer around these.
And we'd get calls from all over the country. Oh, the front part of the marble fell off. Can you ship me another one? Well, that one's just going to break too. Like it was actual marble. That was glued together. So I ended up buying a bunch of Gorilla Glue, and when people would call and complain about it, I'd send them that and just be like, "Can you just throw a little glue on it, put it back together?" Because if I send an empty one, it's just going to shatter.
Yeah,
it needs something on the inside, and
to get the vibrating from wrecking it apart.
So made my life a lot easier.
I'm sure. Well, this is really good. So what have you been up to lately with everything going on? Are you getting out more now that things are opening up a little bit more, or is it still too here in New Hampshire things are a little bit more open up where you are, but other parts of the country aren't so much? So.
I mean, it's still tough. I mean, I have a 6-year-old at home. So, still having to watch her. Her daycare just opened up 2 weeks ago.
Ooh.
And then her school was supposed to open up in a couple weeks, but that got pushed back 4 weeks now, or 3 weeks, because they messed up on a roof and didn't order enough plexiglass and stuff. Like, it's just insane.
Teachers need to be behind plexiglass.
Yeah. It's a nightmare. But, I'm still, I get out to visit a few shops. We have the brokers throughout the country and everything. So, my days of traveling a ton were over anyway.
Right.
But it's been nice. I haven't been on a plane in 6-7 months. It's great.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's nice being home with the family more.
Yeah. So is it fair to say you don't miss the travel?
I miss it a little bit. Seeing the people hanging out, living that environment, it was awesome. But being home is great.
Right.
And I do miss it because, sometimes I'm just like, all right, I'm done here. I got to go to California for a week. But yeah, there's nowhere to run to anymore.
No. There's nowhere to run to.
There's no hiding. But no, I don't look forward to traveling again, though. So it's been good, though. And business has picked way back up.
Yeah.
It's the first couple months, like everybody, it was a little slow just because.
Sure.
I mean, New Hampshire was great because they were able to do cash and carry or curbside. But like Massachusetts, most of the towns are still lounges closed. Yeah. So they don't want reps coming in and talking to them anyway. They don't.
Right.
There's not much to do. It's just on the phone. So.
But the numbers are still good at this point?
It's picked up big time.
That's awesome, man.
So, I mean, all the retailers are doing great, and the only problem is we're running into product issues.
Everybody is.
It's, you know, 'cause the
Everybody
factory
is.
shut down for 3 months,
Right.
2 months, whatever it was. And, you know,
Yeah. People, you know, don't understand that, even though it happened several months ago,
we're still playing catch up.
now you're playing catch up because everything that the suppliers had in stock and ready to go has been gone through.
Yep.
But the cigars, once they're made, they have to sit.
And a lot of them aren't back to full capacity. They're not getting everybody back. A lot of the employees aren't coming back, you know, so they're working at 50 to 75%. And, you know, I know in the Dominican, they're running into a lot of packaging issues.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just one hurdle after the next.
Right.
So-
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for the next few months. I think.
Yeah.
At least through the end of the year, I would think.
Oh,
before
absolutely.
things get.
We're not getting back to normal anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see what happens.
Now, as you're dealing with your brokers throughout the country, you know, you're not only, dealing with, the shops that you have, personal relationships like Twins, you got to deal with your brokers and stuff all over the country. How are you handling all of that extra headache of, stores saying, where's my stuff? And
I tell all the brokers, you have my number, give it to the shop owner. If they have an issue, they can call me anytime. I don't really think it's the broker's problem to deal with. They have enough on their plate having to go out and sell and, try and sell on the phone now. And instead of having to deal with somebody for 20 minutes, getting upset why they don't have their products or it half shipped or whatever, so, it's been a lot of putting out fires.
yeah, I can only imagine.
But they're understanding now because it's happening to everybody.
Right.
The big guys obviously have way more product. And,
Sure.
they were able to last a little longer. But now, everybody's running into the issue.
Yeah,
So
even the big guys are having those issues.
now Padron's having
yeah.
issues. And once
Yeah.
people start seeing that, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's not you. So,
Oh, my goodness.
but
Have you had to give away any sneakers or anything to keep people happy?
no.
No? Hasn't
never
gotten
do
that
that.
bad yet.
I would never
You'd never do that.
Sneakers are my babies.
Now, when was the last time you were on the show? A couple of months ago? Mm-hmm. Have you bought any new sneakers since then?
Oh, yeah. COVID has not been good on my wallet.
Not been good on your wallet. So, about how many new pairs of sneakers have you purchased, would you say, in the last 8 weeks?
In the last 8 weeks?
Yeah.
7.
7. So it's about one pair a week.
Yeah. It's bad.
And your wife is fine with this.
We're running out of room to put them now. So that's becoming a problem.
Did you get rid of any, Eric?
No.
You don't like put any on eBay or anything like that?
No. I buy what I want that makes me happy.
Have you ever thought about Hammer Sickle coming out with sneakers? Vodka, cigars, and sneakers.
A flask built into the bottom.
Something like that. Little cigar cutter in the heel.
Yeah.
No. You sure? Because I think that would be great.
Yeah. Well, you're off the brand team.
Little Hammer and Sickle shoe.
I do have some pairs that people have gotten me as gifts that have
Yes.
Hammer and Sickle logos. So
Do you ever wear those?
No.
I've never seen you wear those.
no.
Do you wear them around the house?
No, those are up on the shelves.
They're just up on the shelf to
Looking pretty.
Look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conversation piece.
Conversation shoes.
No one ever asks.
Yeah. Do you have conversation shoes, Brie?
I do. My fluffy
Yeah.
skunks.
Your fluffy skunks.
You guys have
What
seen
are-
those.
You've worn them on the show before.
Yeah, I have.
Fluffy skunks.
And then whenever I bounce my foot, it looks like there's like a little skunk crawling around on the ground.
Correct.
It's like,
Yep.
yeah.
You've seen it.
I like it.
I scared a couple of old ladies when I went out to a restaurant, and they were like, "Oh my God, there's something under your table." Oh, she's like, "Yeah."
So, Brie, how many pairs of shoes do you think you have?
I don't want to play this game.
50.
50?
50.
Is that a
50 to
lot?
60.
50 to 60?
I mean, not compared to people I know. I know people that have hundreds and hundreds of pairs of shoes. Whole walk-in closets full of shoes.
Now you know one more.
So, yes, this is, I think, the first guy I know that. But sneakers are a serious feat these days, so. A serious feat.
It is a big thing. I see what you did there. I like
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Eric, one of the things that, we do on the show is we do Pastor Padron's Cigar Confessions.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've gotten into doing is when we have a guest on the show, I kind of pass the baton to them. And I have been asking, what is one of your big cigar smoking pet peeves? Or if you want to be positive about it, if you want to go all Les Brown, all right. What is one thing you would love to tell cigar smokers out there that would help them enjoy the cigar smoking experience even better?
Well, the first thing is stop licking the cigar. That's and I'm not like the person who, slobbers on the end of it before they cut it is one thing. But the person who takes it out of the cellophane and then licks it from foot to cap.
I have seen that. I have never understood
What's wrong
that.
with that?
What is
That's
happening?
gross.
Oh, it evens out the burn. How?
Well, it's a tradition that's passed down before we had humidifiers. So to keep the cigar properly humidified, people would lick it so that it would burn properly. But we don't need to do it anymore
But it's
because everybody
2020.
has.
I don't see how that would help because it's not evenly licked.
How do you know that?
It doesn't help.
Where's
the first thing you said.
Where did you come up with that?
Tobacconist University.
Oh, yes.
It's actually in there that people did that.
It's in the the do's and don'ts Q&A type of place. The facts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember that.
That's very interesting. I've seen people do it, and I have never quite understood it because wet things don't burn. So why you would lick the entire cigar, and you look like I don't even know how do you politely refer to somebody who just
The noise makes it worse.
Slobber knocker.
yeah. I mean, how do you do that? And then
We spend so much money.
Totally agree with you.
We spend so much money humidifying them at the warehouse.
Right.
You guys spend so much money humidifying them here. They're perfect. They're ready to smoke. You don't need to lick it. There's nothing that needs to be done. Cut it, smoke it, enjoy it.
Thank God. Yes.
But the worst is when they do that and then wonder why we don't have public cigar cutters out right now.
Yeah.
And why we won't cut their cigar for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they lick it. Can I borrow your cutter? No.
No, you cannot borrow my cutter. When every once in a while, it happens. Pretty much any shift that I'm on, somebody will say, "Can you cut my cigar?" I don't even take it out of the cellophane. I cut the end of the cigar. I don't touch the cigar.
Yeah.
It's just you just don't want to get germs on your stuff, and so. People still ask, how come there's no community cutter? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I don't really care whether you believe it's a legit thing or not, but just seeing things that you just said, if it never comes back, that's fine with me.
Yep.
I don't, that was one of the most ridiculous. Anything else other than that, than licking the cigar? Totally agree with that.
I mean, for a positive thing,
Well, no, whatever. I mean, it could be something that annoys you too.
there's not much that annoys me.
There's a lot that annoys you. You're just not going to talk about it on the radio.
The guy who ashes, you have this beautiful ashtray here, and then you have the guy who ashes on the handlebar.
Like this. Like that.
That guy annoys me so much.
Why?
I've been watching you do it the whole time, and
Why
I'm
does that
cringing.
annoy you? Why does that annoy you?
It's a beautiful ashtray.
Not aesthetically pleasing.
I just want to touch it now.
You ruined it. Now your finger's gross, and you're going to
at that.
shake my hand at the end of the day. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
We don't want to know where else it's been.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's not much that annoys me.
No.
No, I'm pretty easygoing.
Does mashing out a cigar annoy you?
I don't see that happen a lot anymore.
Well, you haven't been around Paul much.
I've been better.
Somebody's
Dave.
just been thrown under the bus.
I do.
Well, I
have
was
to say,
thrown under the
Paul-
bus during the Kurt and Charlie Moore show, so
I do have to stick up for Paul. He's been a lot kinder to his cigars.
I want to do it, Dave, but since you or Dick or Dan are with me, I just kind of like put it right in the ashtray.
Just let it rest. It just like happened this morning. It was awesome. He just looked at the cigar and he was frustrated with it, and you could tell that he just wanted to Hulk smash that thing to doom, and
Yeah.
he just put it in the barrel. And I was like, you wanted to smash that, didn't you? And he's like, yeah.
Get my frustrations out of it.
My one recommendation, though, is never smoke a new cigar if you're angry, in a bad mood for any reason. Never try something new. Smoke something you know that you like, because if you, for some reason, you don't like it that day, just because you're angry and it's not the same thing, you're going to still go back to it. But if it's a new cigar, you're going to give up on it because just of how you were that day. So you got to make sure you always have an open mind going into new products.
I can totally dig that. Now, would you say too, another reason to kind of piggybacking on that is the whole aromatherapy aspect of cigar smoking? If you're around a smell and a taste that you know and you like, that relaxes you, that
Yes.
you're more likely to enjoy it even if you're in a bad mood or had a bad day or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's one big thing I love about cigars is, you smoke something that you love. You have the celebration cigar that you smoke a couple times a year. That's 30,
Right.
40, $50, whatever it might be. But when you smoke it, it's good times. It's happy thoughts, but yeah, you got to be in the right place to smoke new cigars. If you're upset, you're not going to like it. You got to go in with an open mind.
I don't think I've ever thought about it like that, but I don't have any. I think that's good advice.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Here to
You've
open your
made my
eyes.
life a little bit better today. And that's not just blowing smoke.
So does Dave not talk anymore on the show?
Not really.
Because it's great.
Nick's not here tonight. Dave isn't talking as much anymore. So, talking is, it's gotten a whole lot better. It's a whole new echelon of communication and, intelligible words.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. Paul, continuing thoughts here. What's your thoughts here on the Churchill as we come to the end of the first segment here?
Sweet nuts.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much.
From wherever you are. The sweet floral notes is really coming on strong now. I'm probably about halfway through the cigar. The earthy tones have kind of settled down a little bit, but the sweet and floral notes, specifically on the retrohale, is just outstanding. Really, really good. I like this very, very much.
Do you get that same kind of floral note on other Honduran cigars?
No, this is not. This is
yeah.
something unique. Usually, I totally agree with you, Eric, when you talked about Honduran cigars. A lot of earth, maybe a little bit of nut and wood and stuff like that. But this is unique in its own because you might get some some sweet floral notes in the beginning. This is really coming on now. Now that I'm past the first third, this is a really a treat to smoke.
Thank you. Glad you enjoy it.
Dave, do you want to tell us something about this cigar? In
2 words or less.
you're not allowed to use the word salt.
All right, please.
I'm not getting a lot of salt. So.
No salt.
I just said you weren't allowed to use the word salt.
But no, yeah, we get that mild spice. I think it pairs really well with the drink. They both have like that earthy spiciness to them, and they're complementing each other pretty well. It's got like a subtle sweetness to it, and the draw, of course, because it's Bach press, is
What press?
Bach press is
What
is really
press?
good.
See, Heather, this is why it's not just rude. He does have plenty to add. I totally agree. But sometimes he doesn't complete the words that he means to say. All right, moving on. Dave,
Bapa cigar. Yes, exactly.
That's high praise. Thanks.
Each card.
It's freaking fantastic.
It's freaking fantastic.
Those 3 words, but we'll take it.
We'll take it. We're moving on. Bree, what are your final thoughts here?
I can't follow that up.
I was gonna say.
I just can't. No, I'm gonna have to agree with Paul on that. The drink is almost I would expect it to get more watered down because of the ice and everything, but it's actually becoming a little bit more like robust and like floral, like sweet with the cigar, and the cigar is remaining consistent. And I'm getting like still like a lot of creaminess. It's very consistent, and it's pairing even better as it goes along. It's changing, but it's staying the same. It's, if that makes any sense. It's a contradictory pairing.
I think that the ginger in the drink really, is a contrasting pairing to this, but it works.
It does.
It really, it kind of brings out the wood and leather notes, complements the spice, and the floral sweetness in the cigar is kind of, then put off by the spice and the ginger. It's really, really good. Yeah. I'm liking the pairing. Although you've probably seen throughout the podcast, I've been smoking much more than I've been drinking. I really enjoy the cigar, and construction right on point with this. Look at that. The burn is great. The ash is great. We've got this nice whiter gray ash. There's no real flaking of it. And looking around at everybody's cigars, it looks like it's the same experience all around. Yep. And it's one of the things I love about Hammer Sickle is that the quality of the construction is totally on point. I can count on one hand the number of bad plugged Hammer and Sickles I've ever had. Just like anything, this cigar may not be everybody's taste, but you can't complain about the construction of it. It's a fantastic cigar, and if you like a good medium-bodied Honduran cigar that kind of emphasizes the wood and leather and earth, that gets a little richer than most Honduran cigars are, this is going to be right up your alley.
I love the cigar.
I hope so.
That's my input on it.
This.
Now, I think we've talked about it before, but I was asked by one of our listeners to ask again here on the show. It's very interesting that the Hammer and Sickle Company wanted to go pair cigars with vodka.
Yeah.
Now, I know you are a big vodka drinker when you're smoking cigars. It's not the go-to drink that many people think of when you think of pairing with a cigar. What makes vodka to you such a good pairing for cigars?
So my go-to drink is a vodka soda, no fruit, just so it's clean, crisp, refreshing, and to me, it's almost a palate cleanser. I see what you're doing. My skin's crawling. I hate you.
I'm sorry. That was very rude. Sorry. I'm very pastoral. Sorry.
Now I lost my train of thought. I'm all angry and I want to smash my cigar.
Train wreck.
But it's almost a palate cleanser for me. It never overpowers the cigar. It goes with everything because it's not tasteless. You still get to taste, with our vodka, you get almost a little citrusy, vanilla-y. That's from the Russian winter wheat.
Russian winter wheat.
You get those little notes, and I just like it. It works, and everybody I tell to try it, they like it too. They're like, oh, I would have never thought just a vodka soda would go with a cigar. But at the end of the day, if you're drinking and smoking, it's a good time.
Amen.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Now, another question we got from one of our listeners to ask is, potato vodka versus wheat vodkas. What's your take on both? What's the differences between both? And which is now Hammer Sickle, like you just said, it's a wheat.
Yeah, it's a Russian winter wheat.
It's a Russian winter wheat. What's the deal with that?
So potato vodka to me, I'm not a big fan of potato vodka.
Okay.
It's a mouthfeel thing for me. I don't like vodka that's been in the freezer either. Because when it's in the freezer, it gets a little thicker. It feels, and I just don't like it. But potato vodka, in its nature, is a thicker, creamier liquid, I guess. And
More viscous.
that's a good word.
More viscous.
Yeah.
Dave,
You've chimed in with something useful.
that was awesome. And you said viscous correctly. That's amazing. I love that. That is awesome. Heather, you should be so proud of Dave. He said viscous.
That's what she said.
But yeah, again, that comes down to what you like. And, potato vodka has more flavor, where wheat vodka is more for going for the crisp, clean, almost flavorless thing.
Right.
It's meant to be mixed with cranberry juice and you don't really taste it. It's meant for that type of stuff. And now with the potato, it is more expensive because there's an extra step. So that's why the bottles are more expensive. So
Right. You have to get rid of the starches before you go through the process.
correct. Look at you. You did your research.
Yes, I just made myself look good. I
Proud of
have
you.
no idea what I'm talking about, but there you go.
But that is correct.
Well, there we go. And we're glad that you've been on this show again with us. This is fantastic. You're not hanging around for the pipe, huh?
No.
Next time, maybe?
Next time.
No more tears for Eric.
Next time, I will smoke a pipe again. I just have to mentally prepare for it.
I promise to make it a much more...
Is there like a Skittles pipe tobacco?
Yeah, we'll make sure... We'll make,
Smoke Londonberry.
Like a Sunshine and Rainbows?
for those of you who may not have been with us since the beginning, Eric's first experience really smoking the pipe was when we did Dark Bird's Eye, which is like the dark espresso of pipe tobacco, and
I had the nicotine shakes for a week.
it was rather cruel of me to make that his introduction to the pipe smoking thing. So it's about a year later now, and he's
I'm almost ready.
He's almost ready.
I'm almost ready.
I've scarred him for life.
Almost. I got to mentally prepare for this. And I got to buy another pipe because I got so frustrated. I just gave it away.
Gave it to Dave, I think.
And then he broke it.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that the pipe you broke, Dave?
That's correct.
He's sticking to that 2-word thing.
Affirmative.
Well, that's 3 syllables. That counts as 2 words.
It is a big word for him, so it counts as 2.
Well, thank you very much for being with us, Eric. We'll
Thanks
see
for
you
having
again
me.
real soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hang in there, guys. We're going to take a little bit of a break, switch over to pipes, and we'll be right back talking about Robert McConnell's St. James Park. Don't go anywhere. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Not Just Blowing Smoke. We are starting off with Robert McConnell's St. James Park. That's what we're doing tonight, right?
Yes.
St. James Park. It's manufactured by Colas and Kopp in Denmark. It is a Scottish blend of Black Cavendish, Latakia, Turkish Orientals, and Virginia. It is a ribbon cut. There's no flavoring on this bad boy. Bree, what are we pairing with this Scottish pipe tobacco tonight?
All right, so we have a Portero whiskey. We did have it over at the lounge. It's keeping it simple, I would say. It's definitely a more generic, like classic American whiskey. It's not as well known, so I'm curious, honestly, to see how it is. I've never actually tried this one before.
It's very nice.
It
got a nice
definitely
finish.
has a very familiar aroma.
Nice sweetness in the beginning and just a nice little spice in the back. Smooth.
Very smooth and sweet.
Nice body to it. 51.2 ABV.
There's a little bit of honey to it too. It's there's like a little bit of like a honey finish.
It's a little stronger than your normal whiskey.
You think so?
51.2%.
Oh, true. Yeah, ABV wise it is, but taste wise it almost tastes like there's an ice cube in it already.
Yeah,
It's like melted.
Yeah.
And there is not.
No,
There is not. Straight
only
up.
the ginger I'm about to add down. I'm curious how that will change it. If it will.
Oh, wow.
Ginger and honey.
Oh my goodness. Initial thoughts on the pipe tobacco and the pairing. Dave, do you want to give your 2 cents?
It's a little woody, and
That's what she said.
yeah. I'm not really. I think the drink is. I'm getting. I think I'm getting some of the Virginias, like maybe a little stone fruit, but mostly some wood and leather. It's very. It's kind of creamy. Getting a little bit of maybe floral in the retrohale. A little small amount of that. Yeah, it's
Okay, so wood, leather, creamy,
wood, leather, creamy.
little floral in the retro. Paul, what's your first impressions here?
Okay, so I had this tobacco earlier today. I wanted to test drive this because I've never had this before.
Good.
And in the beginning, I read the description of the tobacco. I know based on the blend, Virginia, Latakia, Orientals, we were looking for a stone fruit, some mesquite, earth. I was getting a lot of earth and leather notes initially. That's all I was getting. No dried fruit, no stone fruit, no mesquite, nothing from the Orientals as far as any floral notes. And with the drink, however, still getting the earth and leather notes, but it's helping to bring out the Orientals for me. And specifically on the retrohale. Now I'm getting a lot more of the floral notes on the retrohale. So I wasn't too, let's put it this way, I wasn't really taken with this tobacco initially today. Now with the drink I am.
Very interesting.
I also felt, I smoked it along with Paul, and I felt like, we'll see if it holds true, but as I went through the bowl, once I was like halfway through the bowl, I feel like it really developed more to the Virginia side where the stone fruit taste came in, the Oriental started kicking in. So I'm wondering what the dynamic is going to be with the pairing.
Okay. All right. Bree, I know this is your first experience with this tobacco.
Yes.
And this whiskey. So what are your first impressions on this pairing that we've created?
So I think I'm honestly, I'm still trying to red my palate of the ginger from the I'm still, honestly, my palate right now is, I think, a little bit distracted. I'm still, because when I took a puff out of the pipe tobacco, I was like, spice, okay.
Ginger.
Yep, more spice. And still getting spice and spice and spice on spice. But I've
She's our spice girl.
I've switched it around a little bit, and I am getting a lot of the mesquite now. Like I'm getting a little bit of like mesquite undertones, but initially I got some like a slight hint of sweetness, and I think it was brought out by the honey in the whiskey. This is definitely a sweeter spirit. It's there's not really any spice to it, but I am getting spice in the pairing, and I think that's due to the combination of the two. But I feel like the mesquiteness from the pipe tobacco rounds out the sweetness from the whiskey a lot, and it makes it more enjoyable. But I am still trying to rid my palate of that ginger. It's still very, I haven't even touched this cube yet.
Oh my! I definitely get mesquite from this, kind of a smoked mesquite. I definitely get that floral note, woody, deep fruit. There's a smoothness, a creaminess to this tobacco that's brought about by, I think, by the Black Cavendish. And that may bring us right into a decent segue to talk a little bit more about this tobacco here. When Dunhill announced back in 2017 that it was going to be discontinuing its pipe tobacco and cigar, business, but specifically pipe tobacco. That kind of rocked the community. And in 2018, they stopped producing the Dunhill brands like Nightcap, Early Morning Pipe, Deluxe Mixture Flake, Royal Yacht, Standard Mixture, Elizabethan, My Mixture 1965, and Aperitif. Those have been favorites in the pipe smoking community for decades. 2018, we also saw McConnell close its doors. And so it was like in 1 year, 2 of the major pipe tobacco producers stopped producing, and people were like, going nuts. And a bit over a year later, in I think it was November of 2019, Scandinavian Tobacco Group, which had been manufacturing the Dunhill blends for them for years, acquired the rights to the names and the recipes of those and started producing them under the Peterson name, brought back a lot of, joy and life to the pipe community by bringing back a lot of those blends. But there was about a year in between where there was nothing. And there were a number of companies that created clones or rebranded recipes that were very close to those Dunhill blends in an attempt to kind of fill the gap and get people, to, maybe try something that was like those Dunhill blends. And this was one of those things. St. James Park is one of the blends in McConnell's Heritage Collection series. And all of the Heritage Collection series are clones of Dunhill blends, meaning that they are blends that are meant to, as closely as possible, represent blends of somebody else's, in this case Dunhill. In this case, St. James Park is a clone of Dunhill's Aperitif, and it was originally called the Appetizer. Oddly enough, both mean pretty much exactly the same thing. And that was, this was a tobacco that was meant to be really kind of enjoyed before dinner. It was something that was supposed to help get you ready to digest and everything like that. Just like an aperitif, in the bartending world, it was something that you would take to get you ready to digest. This was something that was supposed to be smoked prior to dinner. So this is supposed to be a clone of Dunhill's Aperitif. Now, I was not able to get my hands on a tin of Dunhill's Aperitif, and a lot of the Peterson blends have been on back order. We just heard about how difficult it's been for a lot of these companies to kind of get back up on things. So we're going to be smoking this on its own and rating it on its own merits instead of comparing it to Dunhill, or whether it's the old or the new. Although I do have to say, since Scandinavian Tobacco Group was producing Dunhill for years, like maybe 15 years, the only thing that's changed with the Dunhill blends is the label on the tin. That's the only thing that's changed. The recipes are exactly the same, and indeed they had to be to meet FDA requirements to keep them on the shelves. So that's where we're at. You were going to say something, Bree, and I was kind of finishing a thought. What were you going to say there? Do you remember?
No, I don't think I was actually going to say anything. I think I was just responding to what you said.
Okay.
Where's your baton?
I was going to say it's in my bag. I almost meant to get it up on the break, but
Oh, look, Dave from the Cigar Hacks is here. Dave, the Cigar God, is listening to us. That's fantastic. Rick Kellerman, also one of the hacks, is listening. Hello there, Rick. Nurse Rick, how you doing? Good to have you listening to the show there. And there we go. So, Paul, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the news?
Sure. So last week we were talking about the flavored tobacco ban in California.
Yes, we were.
This week, it's amazing how...
We're going to talk about it again?
Well, yes.
Phenomenal.
Ballot referendum planned for California's flavored tobacco ban. Last month, or last week, I should say, California passed a ban on flavored tobacco that will prohibit the sale of most flavored tobacco products in the state. As is this case with many new laws in California, the citizens might have a chance of undoing it.
Ooh.
An effort is underway to collect signatures to get the flavored tobacco ban put on the 2022 general election ballot, which would also mean a delayed implementation of the flavored tobacco ban. According to the Cigar Association of America, the following timeline exists for the ballot referendum. August 31st, 2020, proposed referendum filed with the Secretary of State. September 10th, 2020, is the deadline for Attorney General to prepare ballot title and summary. As soon as title and summary is completed, proponents may begin collecting signatures. November 26, 2020, is the deadline to submit signatures to county election officials. December 10th, 2020, after signatures are submitted, county election officers will have 8 working days to determine the raw count of signatures meets the required threshold. December 31st of 2020, after signatures are submitted, county election officers will have 30 working days to verify the signatures if the raw count threshold was met. January 1st of 2021, SB 793 takes effect on this date if the referendum does not qualify for the ballot. So basically, in order to qualify for the ballot, the referendum will need to get 5% of the total number of votes cast in the last gubernatorial election, which equates to needing 623,212 signatures to qualify. If it qualifies for the ballot, the law would then be suspended until November 8th, 2022, and the matter would be left up to the voters.
So does that mean my Nat Sherman hints would come back? Or is Nat Sherman?
No, it's a whole different animal altogether.
No, unfortunately. Nat Sherman has closed its doors altogether as far as the production of cigars. Now, supposedly, in all the official news accounts with Nat Sherman, the cigarettes, which was, it's Altria, right? Bought Nat Sherman,
correct.
Has the rights to those cigarettes, and supposedly that was not affected, and yet it seems like they have all stopped. And so could the cigarettes come back in a little bit? I don't know. It's possible, but Nat Sherman has officially closed its doors, and that is a very, very sad thing. Since 1930, Nat Sherman has been around. It's just, and it is such a shame to see that New York store and lounge close after all these years, and a lot of that was due to COVID. And everything being shut, and they weren't able to operate. And you could just imagine how expensive a store in New York is, rent-wise, tax-wise. And then when you add the tobacco tax on top of that, that's just outrageous. But this what Paul's referring to is a specific legislative act in the state of California that blanket banned flavored tobacco in the sale of the state. And they made some exemptions, but were they really? Were they really exemptions?
Here's the second part of the story, too, because they did get into what we were kind of questioning last week. Did this person who wrote the article get it right? And apparently they did. So California's flavored tobacco ban has a couple of exemptions. First, quote-unquote, premium cigars that are flavored would be exempt from the ban. However, the law defines premium cigars as costing at least $12 wholesale.
Wholesale.
So that's far more expensive than almost every flavored or infused cigar sold on the market, effectively exempting no cigars unless manufacturers choose to increase the prices to comply with California's law. So in context, it would only exempt cigars with an MSRP of at least $24. And when you add the taxes on, it's basically $36 to $37.
Can you imagine?
So like a Cuba
Yeah, that's-
$37,
Ugh. Nope.
where it's only 10 here.
That's so
Ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
Imagine paying $37.
then you're getting into the whole Canada price range for cigars.
Poor Rod.
You know, poor Rod. Exactly. You know, I have another Canadian friend who told me that they Charter Oak, which we sell here for anywhere between $5 and $6, is around $17 to $20.
Oh my God, that's
in
crazy.
Canada, and needless to say, he buys his here.
Yeah.
When he vacations, you know, and even paying the 100% tax that he has to in order to take the cigars back over the border, he's still saving money. Just
That's
outrageous. Crazy. Just outrageous. So, you know, how now, obviously the 10th, you know, is just a few days away. This is the 7th when we're recording this. Do we know where they're at as far as getting this thing done, or whether or not they're going to?
That's when they'll be able to go out and start getting signatures. They'll have just over 2 months to get them.
So once the 10th happens,
then they can start collecting signatures.
They can start collecting, and they have to get
623,000.
625,000
5% of the gubernatorial vote.
I wonder if they're going to be able to do that.
Well, I mean, if enough people, because California's got a huge population, so I can only imagine, and you got to imagine there's a lot of smokers out there.
Do they have to mail in their signature?
Mail-in ballots.
I bet they can do it. I really do. I bet if there's there's a lot of, and I'm not going to use the word, peed off people right now, and the last thing they want is someone else telling them what to do. So I can almost bet that California in 2 months can get the appropriate amount of signatures needed to get this on the ballot for 2022. Maybe they don't even necessarily smoke flavored tobacco.
Right.
I bet people will do it just because. Just because of what's happening out there.
I would love to see that happen.
Yeah,
I would
me too.
love to see
I would
them.
love it. I would love it if it was 20%.
I would love to see them just kill it.
Just crush it.
Just crush it.
As Nick
and
would
get
say,
the
just
thing on
crush
the-
it.
Just crush it.
Just do it.
A little Shia LaBeouf for you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Nick.
So crush it, Californians.
This
crush
is where
it.
we really could have used you tonight. Some kind of wonderful Nick comment.
The one time.
Sweet nuts.
Yes, sweet nuts. I really wish they would do that. That would just be sweet nuts.
Smoke it if you got it.
Yep. Doesn't matter what it is. Just smoke it.
Do you have one that
Burns.
says,
Light it up.
Do you have something that says "drink it if you got it," Dave?
No, probably not.
Well, whatever.
Also
No, that's too
applies.
bad. That would also be very Nick.
Yes. Right.
Very Nick-esque. Sausage rope. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm really interested, Paul. I'm getting much more of that savory smokiness now
Yes,
in
yeah.
the tobacco. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Now that you're about halfway through?
So, like I said, I smoked this earlier today, and I really wasn't taken by this tobacco. But for some reason, and I'm going to maybe give a little bit of the credit to the pairing, but I am getting a lot more of that savoriness. The mesquite's coming through. I'm still getting that earthy leather, but those Orientals are really working overtime on the retrohale. That floralness for me is really coming through. It's really shining through. I'm glad I gave this a second
concur.
try.
Yeah, the floral is really coming through on the retrohale. I totally agree.
And maybe I wasn't in the right frame of mind to have this tobacco earlier today.
Did you have a bad morning?
No,
Paul?
just a little tired, and I was morning, and Dave and I were scurrying about helping people, and it was kind of a last minute decision for me to have this tobacco, and maybe like I said, I wasn't sitting down really enjoying it. It was in between customers, and so maybe I didn't really have the right atmosphere or environment to appreciate it.
And the plethora of phone calls saying, "Are you open?"
So in terms of what Erik has suggested, not to try something new when you're not in the right frame of mind, I would absolutely agree.
That was great advice.
And it's fun. I never would have thought of that, and I absolutely agree with him.
That was really great advice. I'd never thought about it like that myself. I think that is sage advice for you smokers out there. If you're in a bad mood, or you're hurried, or you're not able to sit and really enjoy something, trying something new may not be the best choice. Stick with something something you like, or something that you have very low expectations on, but don't necessarily try something new. Oh my. Bree, is your opinion changing on this as you're smoking? Are you still trying to get rid of the ginger that's stuck between your teeth?
Okay, so notably I did, because I was curious, add my cube of ginger to my whiskey, but I haven't been sipping the whiskey just to give it some space. I've just been smoking the tobacco.
You dropped your thing in your whiskey. That's so cute.
I'm still getting a lot of spice.
Yes.
I'm still getting a lot of spice from this. It's not a bad thing now. It's definitely rounded out more to the point where I can get some of the floral notes as well. And it's interesting because I took a sip of the whiskey after adding the ginger square, and let me just double check that.
Feel free to triple
still
check.
Confirmed. So
still confirmed.
Still
confirmed, people.
Listen.
What are we confirming?
My baton's in my bag, but I'm holding it.
All right.
So before
She said.
Oh!
the whiskey didn't really have much like bite or spice to it, and since I added the square, it's not really like it tastes like it has a ginger flavor, but it did get a little bit spicier. So it tastes like more of a generic whiskey now.
Okay.
So adding the ginger square actually kind of took away some of the honey sweetness. The honey sweetness is still there, but it's more of an overlay, and you do have like a little more like spice and bite underneath, which I think actually does kind of play on the pipe tobacco, but it's personally a little bit too much spice for me. And I can see what you mean about this tobacco being something that you have like before dinner as an aperitif, because I wouldn't personally end my night with this tobacco. I would smoke this maybe like you said, before going to get something to eat, before like going out. It's a starter. It's not really something that I feel like I would have to like round out my night. It's like a little bit too spicy, I think.
A little too spicy for you?
Too much going on for me. I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's not exactly my favorite tobacco so far.
What would be one of your favorites that you've had so far?
I think, what was that one? Didn't have granite in it. It was one of the cakes.
Oh.
That we smoked earlier on.
Jeanette's cake.
Let's see. One of the cakes. I don't remember what shows you
Cake
were
or
on.
plug or...
Yeah. I think it was a plug. Because there was that. Oh, and I know it was Cornell and Deal.
Spark plug?
Yeah. I liked Spark Plug, and I liked... it was the one that I said tasted like beef jerky.
Oh.
Like way back.
Oh, that was the
Not brown Irish.
was that Black Irish X?
don't
Black
think I was
Irish. No,
on
you
for
weren't
that.
that. That was
Kendra was
Kendra. That was like a big piece of smoked meat.
Yeah, that was where sausage rope came
Yes,
from.
exactly. Beautiful meat. Yes, thank you, Dave.
Beautiful
meat.
Beautiful meat. I'll have to go back and think about that.
I think that was during COVID, like quarantine COVID.
All right, we'll have to go back and look through the episodes and see if we can find out what that was. Very interesting. Well,
Plum pudding reserve, maybe. Were you on for that?
Yeah, I think I was.
Because that was
a plug.
That was really good too.
Beautiful.
That was
I
awesome.
think that was the first one I was thinking.
The first pipe of tobacco you had was Squadron Leader.
I still have a little bit of that too.
You still have a little bit. Have you smoked? Have you smoked a pipe off the show?
Yes.
You have.
Well, okay, so I was explaining to someone at the bar the other day, because they were like, I couldn't really get too much into pipes. I just feel like it's too much work, as you hear. Like, I have to keep relighting. And I was like, honestly, like, sometimes I feel like when I go to the bar, I prefer that. I don't want to have something like a cigar where I'm consistently having, like, puffing on something, and then at the end of the night, I'm like, woo! So I think pipe tobacco is great for if you just want to enjoy your drink and, like, occasionally puff on something, but not, feel like you're committing a sin by putting it down for 20 minutes and then picking it back up. So I think pipe tobacco is great for that. So it really depends on what experience you're looking for when you go in.
There you go.
So,
That's
really
good.
Depends.
That's good. Now, Dave, you've got your Nording going over there.
My Nording.
Your Nording freehand, yes. About how deep are you into the bowl right now?
I'm deep, baby.
Oh, my goodness.
I think I'm about.
You're about?
I'm about. Maybe. I want to say I'm probably about a quarter of the way deep. It's a big bowl.
Only a quarter. We've been going at this for about 30 minutes, and you're about a quarter of the way in. That's one big bowl.
It is a big bowl. It goes for. This will go for like an hour and a half.
That's what she said.
I'm going to have to upgrade at some point because my bowl is very small, and I see Dave. I should have seen that coming.
Paul. You had that coming.
I see Dave with his big pipe and Nick with his big gator, and you seem to have a pretty decent bowl there too. So I got to at some point have to upgrade my.
You're gonna have
pipe.
to get a Nording.
Yeah, well, not to that extent, Dave. No,
not to that extent. But we are in the future going to be doing a show where we're going to be dealing with large bowl pipes. So maybe that's a time when you might expand.
Yes, I'll have to do it before then.
Pastor Padron's confessional is deeper better.
Does size matter? Tune
That's
in.
what she said.
Yes, that is what she said.
Beautiful.
And then I went home.
Meat.
Oh my goodness, Dave, has it been changing for you though as you've been smoking down this? Or is it staying the same for you?
No, I feel like the stone fruit of the Virginias has gotten more powerful for me, and at the same time, the Orientals has gotten more powerful for me. The retrohale is absolutely amazing. I think it has to do with that ginger cube we put in it.
Did you put your ginger cube in?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. See.
I'm also going to say, Dave, that you and I were in the same predicament earlier today when we tried this out. So I'm going to say that we're in a more relaxed environment right now, and the tobaccos that you're tasting, you weren't tasting before. You and I both agreed we did not taste any stone fruit whatsoever.
None.
And I couldn't get any mesquite. Yep.
Or
so now again, I'm not getting the stone fruit as much as you are, but I'm certainly getting the mesquite and the wood and the leather tones and that wonderful aroma, and so the Orientals and floral notes.
Well, and the Black Cavendish too. There's a real creaminess and kind of a sweet creaminess to the smoke that is produced by the Black Cavendish in there, and I really taste that more than the Virginias.
Yes.
So I am curious. I want you guys to add your ginger cube. Let it sit for like 3 minutes.
All right.
Just swirl it around a bit.
It's
an experiment. I have to confirm.
Okay. I'm going to swirl it around. I'm swirling.
Just leave it for 3 minutes.
Now I'm going to let it sit there.
Yeah.
Not for 2, not for 4, but for 3.
At least 3.
Okay, so we'll come back to that in a few minutes, and between now and then, I'm going to do
I'll let you know when it's time.
our Would You Rather question.
All right, here we go.
Okay. And this goes back to Erik and the Hammer and Sickle. Since I knew he was not going to be here for the second half of the show because he's a wuss when it comes to pipes.
He just didn't want to fill the rest of his bowl with tears.
He doesn't have a bowl anymore. He gave it to you and you broke it.
Yeah, I chomped right through it.
Here's the Would You Rather question. Would you rather see Hammer and Sickle bring back the original Berlin Wall or the Moscow City?
Oh,
Moscow City.
yeah.
Moscow City, Paul. Why?
Yes.
Why Moscow City?
Because that was their fullest body cigar. It was a delicious cigar, and I only smoked a couple of them, and I should have bought more when we had the opportunity. I never did, and I do miss that one very much. I think it was a great cigar. Probably, I would probably say that would be my top Hammer and Sickle cigar if it was still out there.
The Berlin Wall.
Yes.
Do you think Eric?
No, not the
Eric
Berlin Wall.
still-
The Moscow City.
The Moscow City.
Moscow
Excuse
City.
me. Yes.
Yes.
Do you think Eric still has some?
Probably.
I'm sure he does.
He's hoarding it.
Dave, did you ever experience the Moscow City?
I never did.
So you can't really answer the
No.
question.
No, I can't. But I still would rather have it because I haven't had it.
That's what she said.
You'd rather bring back.
Yeah.
She said.
You'd rather bring back the cigar you haven't tried yet
Yes.
than the cigar you have
Yes.
tried. In effect,
In effect.
Bree, have you ever had the Moscow City?
So I haven't had the Moscow City. However, based on what Paul is saying about how it was like one of their most full bodies, you would say, right?
Yes.
So I would say based on that, and based on the fact that tonight was my first time having any of the Berlin Walls, and the fact that now we have the box press Berlin Wall,
Right.
I would say bring back the Moscow City, just because I think it is important for a cigar brand to have a cigar on every spectrum. And I feel like the Berlin Wall box press is like the perfect cigar to fit that like medium, like kind of somewhat easy bodied type of cigar. And then if the Moscow is a little bit stronger, that would be a better cigar to bring back rather than bring back a different size of the Berlin Wall.
Right.
You know what I mean? It kind of just makes sense consistency wise based on what I know.
Now, we've had Eric on the show several times, and I've interviewed Eric, and have known Eric, and for years and years and years. And until tonight, I did not know that Hammer and Sickle box pressed every cigar they made in order to figure out which cigar they wanted to box press. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it is very cool they did that. Having had the Moscow City with Paul, that I would say that was my favorite Hammer and Sickle cigar when it was in production. And along with Brie, I also think it rounded out their selection as they're more full-bodied. And it wasn't a super strong cigar. It was medium plus at best, but it was the strongest of the things they had to offer. And if somebody was looking for a fuller-bodied cigar, that's where you took them. And, like it is almost across the line, it's the more milder cigars that move the most. And so the Moscow City was, among their selection of cigars, the slowest moving brand that they had. And I know with the factory that was producing it was no longer going to be using the wrapper leaf that the Moscow used. And so that basically killed it. No, I know things have changed around since then with them, and there's opportunity maybe for them to bring it back in sometime in the future, but I would really love to see that happen. As much as I enjoy the original Berlin Wall, sans the 8-pound granite box, marble box that they came in. If they put those out in 10-count zip bags like they do the box press Berlin Wall, I'd be very happy with that. But the box press really is so much better than the original.
Oh yes.
It just totally makes that cigar. It's amazing to me the difference box pressing makes to that blend. And when you smoke cigars where you've got that difference, another cigar that you can test that in is Cigars Privé. You've got the 660, and then you've got the box pressed Toro. And the Toro is such a different animal.
Yep.
And I really think a big part of that is the box pressing.
Yep.
It's a big part of why that cigar is just so impeccably tasty. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I would go with the Moscow City myself. Has it been 3 minutes yet? Have we taken up 3 minutes?
For once.
Oh, it's been more like 10
5.
minutes now, so we have to.
All right, so now it hasn't quite been 10
Ease
minutes.
is in too. Like,
No.
mind you, mine's been in there a while now.
Oh, yes.
It's been like 7
Oh, yes.
Oh, there's
The
spice there
yes.
now. Let me tell you, there's some spice there now. Ooh. Let's try that again.
Yep.
Oh.
It's been manipulated.
Right?
Oh, my nostrils.
So this confirms with our last cocktail too that it didn't get watered down because of the ginger cube garnish.
So maybe what you do in the 724 Lounge Brie is you offer this whiskey with the ginger drop.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if you don't want something that is that sweet, we'll add a ginger cube instead of watering it down more with an
Oh,
ice cube.
yes. Absolutely.
Now, the question then becomes, now that you have a ginger cube in your whiskey, who's ever done that before? We're probably the first place
Yeah.
in podcast
Trademark
history
724 Lounge. No.
to put a what did we put in here?
Ginger cube?
Ginger cube. See, I can't even think with all the spices
Candied
going on
ginger
now.
cube.
Now, not only has it changed, but how has it changed your impression of the pairing, and how is it changing your experience of the pipe tobacco?
Yeah. I think there's definitely more floral notes now.
Definitely more floral.
Yeah, the Orientals are bumping.
Bree, what about you? What's your take on things?
I
Do you have
to
any
agree with
tobacco
that.
left?
I do. It's charred, but I do. Well, at least with the whiskey itself, I think the ginger almost did bring out like more of a floral flavor, and then once you hit it with the pipe tobacco, you get like floral and spice. It's like a 50-50 combo of the two. But the tobacco itself has rounded out a lot more and become a little bit smoother.
What do you think, Paul?
The floral notes are just on steroids right now. Yep.
Floral on steroids.
And this episode has been brought to you by Ginger.
Because it's lingering on your palate, and so it certainly enhances and heightens that floral notes, the Orientals, big time.
Absolutely.
Now, next week on Not Just Blowing Smoke, we have the makeup episode with Lauren Ferraro from Ashton. She will be here. She will be here in person, not via Skype. And we're going to be smoking an Ashton ESG.
Yes.
I haven't figured out what size yet, but that will be figured out soon enough. But we will be smoking the Ashton ESG next week. I am really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that.
That is the only line of Ashton that I have never actually had before.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to that. Have you had an ESG before?
I've had a VSG.
You've had the VSG, but not the ESG.
Yep.
You might want to be here next week.
You will definitely want to be here for that
Okay.
next week.
We'll do.
Okay.
I guess.
Guess with my arm. Oh my
To be
god.
here again.
Oh my god. Yeah. And we are also going to be smoking Cornell and Deal's new Christmas blend release for this year. What is the name of that? It is
Golden Days of Yore.
Golden Days of Yore. Yes.
Christmas in September, huh?
And that's out already, and goes out on sale on Tuesday, September 8th. That's tomorrow as far as this broadcast is concerned. But we will be smoking that and letting you know about that blend next week. I'm looking forward to that. It's a very nice spicy spicy little blend there. And it's going to be very enjoyable. Now, what's our final thoughts on this tobacco, Robert McConnell's St. James Park? I know your first smoke, Paul, was kind of and then with the pairing, you're getting a little more into it. But I mean, on its own, what would you say? Is this something that you would recommend or not, or what?
Yes, I would say that the first time was less than transcendent. The second time is absolutely phenomenal. I think this is a great tobacco. That mesquite, the floral notes, the wood, the savoriness has really come on. I wasn't going to talk very highly about this based on my first experience, but I can honestly say this is really a very, very good tobacco. It's transcendent. I just said that, Dave. It's fantastic.
Dave, what are your final impressions on this tobacco here?
I concur with Paul. My first impressions were kind of like meh, but as I went through the bowl, I feel like it really developed more earlier, and especially with the pairing now, the Orientals are in full bloom. The retrohale is absolutely amazing. The mesquite has come out. I'm getting very little stone fruit. I'm totally enjoying it. It's really good.
Bree, what's your impression of this stuff? Is this something that you would smoke again, or
I
would
think
you
that
put it back on?
the moral of this pipe tobacco story is good things come to those who wait. Off the bat, just like the rest, I was not really super into it. I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's kind of generic, but now towards the end of my bowl, it is actually very enjoyable. I feel like I've warmed up to it. Just as the bowl has warmed, it's I still have that mesquite that I like, but I'm also getting a lot more smoothness. I'm also getting like a well-rounded float of floral notes, and it's lost some of that like intense spice. And I think now at this point, it's actually really enjoyable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. And that is it for this week's episode of Not Just Blowing Smoke. We're thankful that you took the time out to be with us tonight. And we look forward to having you back next week when we have Lauren Ferraro on and smoke golden days of yore after we're finished smoking the Ashton VSG.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to miss next week. That's going to be awesome. And that's Not Just Blowing Smoke, people. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.
You've been listening to Not Just Blowing Smoke, the podcast that brings the wealth of knowledge, expertise, and fun of Twins Smoke Shop, New England's premier smoke shop, right to you, wherever you are, whenever you want it. You can find us at our website, notjustblowingsmoke.com, and keep in touch with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Not Just Blowing Smoke. Thanks for listening, everybody. And that is Not Just Blowing Smoke.
Rolling with the top down.